Hello everyone, and welcome back to Minecraft with me, Nudos. We're here at my resin farm. I did manage, as you can probably tell, to get 3 more creaking hearts. So we have the full 4 creaking heart setup here. And I just wanted to address something that I've discovered in the meantime. You do not want to use a sweeping edge sword. The reason for this is it hits all of them, which means all of them trigger, and there's just not enough room for resin to appear. So you get slightly fewer resin clumps per swing of that than you do by just kind of cycling them like this. Now I've been here for about 10 minutes now, just kind of doing this. Maybe not even 10 minutes. Basically one Minecraft night. As you can see, it is slowly becoming day. And as soon as these creaking despawn, we'll look at the kind of rates we can get here. Well then, so in one Minecraft night, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, almost 11 stacks of resin. That was almost bad. And this is just from before, so this is how much resin we have from one Minecraft night. Yeah, you can definitely make a more complicated version of this farm. But why? This is like 10 minutes worth of work. Pretty cool. I'm very happy with that design. And also over here, something else. This moss farm works as a pale moss farm too. Right now it's kind of all backed up in the hoppers because I don't have it really set up to filter that anywhere, but you can just swap out this moss block, and now it becomes a pale moss farm, which I think is pretty cool. Part of the reason that I am happy about being able to turn that into a pale moss farm is look at how well the pale moss fits in with this. It's almost like a nice bridge between certainly the tough and the regular rocks. It works very well. You can also kind of use it to blend out there. So I wanted to get a whole bunch of that, and now we have a whole bunch of that so that we can start adding that into the texture here and maybe build out some more of the texture here. I don't want to go too crazy because we are going to put other buildings in here at some point. But this gives me some new options for texturing that'll just add even more flavor, which I think is pretty cool. So I think here and there I will probably try and stick some more of this in. I tried messing around with lighting differently, so instead of using the glow lichen, we could put lighting underneath like a moss carpet, which I think is something that we can do here now, and also something that we can do out there. The one thing that is tricky with Minecraft is that you can do that and it will keep the light level up, but you'll also see the light, shaders or no shaders. That's just kind of how it is. So that's a bit of a bummer. You can't really get it to stay dark but also be light, which is really what I want. I just don't want mobs spawning. I've also done some other things in here. So we put a backsplash. This is just deep slate tiles. We're using carpets here to create this sort of countertop vibe. And over here, I wasn't really sold on the way I had that chandelier going. I think this is closer to what I want. I wish these were a little smaller in this case. I know out there, I wanted those to be bigger. But in here, I think it would be nicer if they were smaller. But I think I'm just gonna live with that for now. So now we're looking pretty good in the kitchen. We're looking pretty good in the living room. I still need to do this back door. It's pretty much just the upstairs left here. And I might finally start thinking more about the upstairs in the library and creating maybe just like a balcony and then a ceiling in the bank. I talked about this briefly last time about how we still just have torches on the floor. It's a little ridiculous. I think we need something. Maybe it's just a ceiling. Maybe there's not even a second floor, but something other than this up there. I think having a vault going back there would be nice so that we can store our valuables. So I'll have to think about that. I've also started it's really just the one piece, but you can see the moss is just a subtle difference that I think we can add in to change that up a little bit. And then maybe we finally move this guy into the forge or whatever we want to call it back there. And at some point, it's probably a good time to start enclosing some of these farms so they're not just big honkin' messes. I let this run as a pale moss farm for a little bit, and yeah, I ran out of room, and now I'm running out of room there. This definitely is good as a sort of initial moss farm, but it does not sort the items, and it gets backed up. So you basically need to have this completely fill up before it will, well, and then it fills up the hopper, and then it'll start filling up this chest. So it's not really the best, but it works for what I needed, and we've had lots and lots of cactus popping off here, so that's exciting. I'm happy that my little farm there is functional and working. And I'm thinking for the sugarcane, we haven't done anything at all with the crafter since it was introduced. And I think it might be finally time to start converting the sugarcane directly into paper and storing the paper here instead of the sugarcane, because, I mean, really, what am I doing with sugarcane? I'm not doing anything with sugarcane. I just want the paper to make these. So anyway, now that I've spent this whole episode yakking about all the things I could be doing, maybe it's time I actually do something. And why don't we start with the bank? That seems like the easiest place to start. So really all we need in here is a ceiling. I don't think we can really get away with a dome, but let's mess around with some of the colors. Our only real limitation here is that above these chests needs to be stairs or slabs, something that allows the chests to still open. If I had gone down one more, that wouldn't be a problem, but I didn't. So that's something we're gonna have to deal with here. And maybe we try with some of the pale wood just to see what this kind of looks like in conjunction with everything else. So let me just, can I even, I guess that's another great question here. So it can't go in there, which means it's just kind of have to do this kind of a thing, which is fine. Okay, obviously this is just a very tiny slice here. I think that kind of works. And granted, this is a shaders thing where the purple is kind of reflecting or bounce lighting onto that and giving us this sort of look. Let's just see what it looks like without the shaders. Okay, so here without the shaders, it's obviously way brighter inside because light leaks in through everything in this game, but I still think that works. It is enough difference from the floor, but still kind of similar. It's wood. It's not a stark contrast from this. So let me make some slabs and put this all together, and we'll see what it actually looks like at the end. Okay, well, color-wise, I think it's fine. Texture-wise, I don't mind. The only thing that I'm a little concerned about here is that it really makes this feel smaller because it's so much lower now. So I'm wondering if I could maybe do some designs here. So this is our middle quadrant here. I could maybe do something where the middle that way and the middle this way is elevated a little bit just to make it feel a little bit taller. It definitely feels a little cramped, especially over by those chests right now. I could also put like upside down stairs to act as sort of a transition before we get up to this level. That might help. Then I could bring it up like a half a block. Yeah, so this is obviously just the beginnings here, but I think if we do the stairs, it gives us this, which gives us a little bit more height and just kind of generally a little bit more depth to the ceiling generally, and then we can mess around with the patterns from there. So a little bit more work here to do. Let me redo this whole ceiling. Whoops. One thing for me to be careful about as I go through this, however, is these were previously bottom slabs, which meant I didn't really have to light it up here. Nothing could spawn. If they're going to be top slabs, which they will be, spoilers, if we go this route, then I am going to need to put some kind of light source up here to keep mobs from spawning. Okay, so with it now raised up, it's definitely an improvement, but I do think we can bring it up even just a little bit more and maybe put some carpets or something down up there just to make sure there's no light bleed coming through from the torches that I had to put up there. Because that's annoying. I don't like that kind of thing, but it definitely, this is helping. We're getting much closer to the vibe. If we really wanted to sell the sort of modern aesthetic here, if we had quartz stairs, smooth quartz stairs, since we don't have concrete stairs, Mojang, then that would sell the sort of crown molding look. I hit the wrong button. But I think this will be fine for what it is. Let me just experiment with a couple different designs for the ceiling. Okay, so this was my idea, and then maybe we put additional kind of square accents here. The problem I run into is I can't actually put these ones up higher, which is what I would really like to do, because the ceiling slabs are in the way, and once again, we can't stack things up there. So it's also still quite dark up here, but that's a problem that we will resolve after we settle on a ceiling design. I think we could also potentially use stairs, but if we use stairs, it's gonna have to go up differently. So right now, no. So the stairs would have to be up another, and then it would go. So it would be quite a bit higher. Okay, so that's what that would be like, and then we could even pull the middle up one more, or bring the middle down one? This is so hard to see if this even makes sense. It definitely makes it feel a bit more banky, because banks tends to have, Banks tend to have these sort of intricate ceiling designs, and there's only so much I can do with this. Like, maybe glazed terracotta could do something, but then it would also be colorful, which I don't think we want. We're just trying to give some illusion of texture to this design. The other option would be to have that go up, which is one way to do it, or to use stairs maybe to try to bring it back down instead of this. Can I make stairs? That's not really what I wanted. Yeah, okay, so stairs are not gonna work here. I think we'll just leave it like that for now and go do the rest so that we can get a better look at the overall picture here. Let me just knock these stairs out since they are not going to work out for us. Okay, well, trust the process and all that, I guess. I brought the middle down, which I think also kind of helps sell the illusion. That might make sense to do with stairs if we can, but I'm not sure that we can because of how this is done. But that will give me something to hang a chandelier from, or that might actually just need to be at the same, whatever. The point is, I'm gonna try and hang a big grand chandelier right from the middle here, and then we can get rid of all these torches. But I think in the grand scheme of things, this turned out okay. I was a little skeptical at first there, but at the end, it all worked out. Let's just make sure that we actually have enough lighting here, because the last thing I want is mob spawning up there. Yeah, there we go. I just filled it in. So it's all bottom slabs above this now. And I think that will work out just fine. And we can hang a big chandelier from the middle. So now I need a chandelier design. And voila. It's a little wacky, I have to admit. But in my mind, if you're gonna be a bank, it's going to be a little extravagant because you have all the money, so why not? I ended up going with a warmer light mostly because this is the lanterns I had. I only have one of the soul lanterns, but in hindsight, with the Victorian style, you probably wouldn't have had a whole lot of the cooler lights anyway. You had early electricity at best and candles and stuff at worst. So this is probably what you would have had. It definitely makes the bank a little bit more inviting than it previously was, and it's a way better lit, except for these corners. These corners go all the way down to light level 1. So I'm gonna have to put something there. We originally had the sea lanterns here, which obviously conflicts with the warm lighting of everywhere else. I could put shroom lights or something down in there, but I think rather than having light coming up from the floor, which is a little wacky, I might just put right here some kind of little lantern, maybe a side table with a light on it, something to that effect to light the corners. But overall, this is coming along quite well. We have a ceiling and lights, and all the torches are gone now. So I'm feeling pretty good. Obviously, these back corners are kind of dark, but it's light level 3, so they're fine. Maybe the only other thing left is we put some glass panes along here. I'm trying to record a video, ma'am. Glass panes or even just iron bars. Something like this that the tellers would be able to hide behind so that people can't get them. That would add some kind of flair. That, I don't like how that looks. We're gonna go with glass panes. But I think that will accomplish what I want to accomplish with these being the counters for the bank tellers. Okay, here we go. This is using shroom lights. It's nothing fancy. It's just on top of some fence posts with bamboo trapdoors around it. And I think this looks pretty okay. It's, you know, is it the perfect bank building? No, but I think that it will do what I want it to do. Let's just grab these real quick and just see how this looks coming around here. Yes, I think that adds the final touch that we needed here. I just need a few more of those. Yeah, I think that works pretty well. That obviously that could go taller if we really wanted to. I don't think that's really necessary at this point. It might be fun to put some armor stands back here at some point with people standing here that would actually be serving the people in line, maybe even villagers. But if I'm gonna do villagers, we're gonna need to keep them back there, which means putting carpets in there instead of what we have with the sweet berries underneath. So I don't know if I really wanna do that, but I am very happy with the progress that has been made here in the bank today. Yeah, this building is now essentially complete. Other than we could probably do some texturing on the outside here just to make it a little less uniform. Oh, we could probably throw some resin clumps on there just to make it look a little broken up. We could stick, actually probably we could take some of this and instead of having it on the ground, actually put it here, which would serve the same purpose of lighting the area, but it would add a bit more variety to some of the things. Yeah. Okay. We'll deal with the texturing later. I'm just very happy with the interior. And look, now that it's so much brighter, you actually get light coming out, which is really nice. That adds some more life to this town. Okay, I lied, it's not done yet. I decided to go up another one and put a trapdoor roof on top, which enables me to give a little bit of lighting back here to really complete the look, which I think will probably be pretty nice. Let me just get some stuff put away. That one needs to be over one. Dink, dink, dink. There we go. I don't mind having some dark spots, but it was getting pretty dark in those corners and it looked a little weird, especially if you imagine that somebody back here is your bank teller. They are going to need to be able to see what they're doing in order to write you your checks or whatever, We could probably bust out some of these. I don't want it to become too wide of a gap there, but I'm pretty happy. I also added some windows so we get a little bit more natural light in here when it's not nighttime. But I don't think I want to add any towards the back because that's where all of the bank stuff that needs to be kept safe is. So this is looking pretty good. Yeah. Yeah. I also saw in the comments on the video where I did these that someone had suggested maybe putting chains to kind of sell the effect, so they don't look quite so big. I think in this case, I'm not so sure about it. I was really going for more of a lamppost kind of effect. And I'm not sure this does what I wanted. I think I just need a larger light source. But, you know, I appreciate the feedback. Gonna have to keep thinking about that one a little bit. Something else I think we can still get done over the course of this video without going too long is to do what I said earlier and actually start putting a crafter over here for our sugarcane so that the sugarcane becomes paper. Crafters are still kind of new to the game. If you haven't looked at them, I will do my best to explain them. But first, let me plop down the redstone box. So, long story short, the crafter allows you to automatically craft basically anything that fits in this grid, which is pretty much anything that you can craft. When you load it up with items, it will output a signal, and you'll see even if I just do that, this is now putting out a signal. So it will do up to signal strength 9 for each block that is filled. So for example, with something like sugarcane, you can just knock off those 3, and now it will be ready to craft paper. As you can see, the only problem is that it needs to power. So you take this comparator to run it around so that whenever it hits signal strength 9, it will fire this. And there's a couple ways that you can do that, but one of the easier ways is to use another comparator that goes into that one with another crafter filled up like that. And then you can just run redstone dust back around into that. See how that works? So now, since this is outputting signal strength 9, this is in essentially comparison mode. So it will not output anything until it hits signal strength 9. Then it will output and fire out the paper there. So that's essentially the principle that we are working with. You can also put a chest right in front of this, and it will just output it into the chest without even needing a hopper, which is really interesting to me because that doesn't seem very Minecraft-y normally. That seems kind of create moddy, and I really hope that we see more of that in the future, because man, I'm tired of having to use hoppers as the in-between all the time. This is incredible. We could also maybe have filter slots. Mojang. So anyway, now that you understand the basics here, let me actually put something together for this. I didn't really give myself a whole lot of room here with this chest being on the bottom. Maybe I think we're just gonna have to dig it out and deal with the consequences of that. It is what it is. Okay, so here's the basic signal. Back there we have our crafter. It doesn't have to be a crafter. It could be a lectern using the old book and quill trick to set it to signal strength 9. It just so happens that this is easy to set to 9 by filling it like that. So now this is in comparison mode. We need the repeater so it doesn't try to set this, doesn't try to use a comparison mode with the comparator. And then all we have to do is put a block here that repeater powers, and it should fire this. So last thing here is just a hopper. So now that's just gonna keep firing paper until we run out of bamboo. It would probably be helpful to put a lever on the side of this so that we can disable that hopper. Apparently that works. So I'm just gonna leave that lever there. I was actually kind of thinking of putting it somewhere else. There we go. So that just leaves this permanently powered, and now we don't have to worry about this just constantly outputting things. Yeah, there we go. So we have an on-off switch so that if we want bamboo, we can get it, or I'm sorry, sugarcane, we can get it. But otherwise, I just need to put a chest here, which we can easily do by grabbing bamboo from up top here. Boom, boom, flip it on. And now, as you can see, it automatically puts the paper into there, and we have just automatically crafted paper from our sugarcane farm. And if we want to actually just keep sugarcane, we just flick that lever and we're good to go. So this is all set. I'm going to cover this back up because we don't really need to get down in there. This is fine to just power and unpower that way. And yeah. Look at that, I did my first auto crafter setup, and it doesn't even look like it's all that big, even though it kind of goes around that way. Shh. Before we wrap up today's video, I just wanted to circle back to the resin farm because by the time you guys are watching this video, it's probably been about a month since I created this, and in that time, lots of other people have come out with their own videos and their own designs, so there are some limitations, shortcomings, etc. of this design that I think are worth mentioning, and there's also ways to improve it if you want a bunch more resin. So the first major flaw of this design is that the creaking all kind of want to chase after you. The water stream helps with that, it brings them all in, but sometimes you get them bunched up like this. And so it's a little hard to pick out one or the other to punch them, and if you use sweeping edge, you get slightly lower rates. So that is one problem. You're also only taking advantage of the top 4 blocks up there, which gives you 8 spawnable locations for resin. Even with those limitations though, you're still winding up with, what is that? Almost 14 stacks of resin, depending on how efficient you are with your punching. Now you can expand on the design here by moving this out 1 each way. You don't want to just pile up 2 here, otherwise that creaking heart has nowhere to spawn resin. But again, if you come down here, you will see, once we're in survival mode, it starts to run into the same problem. I can't quite get all these guys very efficiently, but even still, you are probably getting rates that are an improvement over the last design. And the plus side of this is that basically you can hit something every second. That's how often you can trigger the skulk sensor. And so you're basically at the limitation of the design in terms of your ability to just punch things and rotate around. Pretty much no matter how fast you go around here, that first guy is going to be off their cooldown before you get back around. However, if you really want to scale things up for maximum resin efficiency, you can go with a design that uses this principle. This way, you have just a wall of creaking hearts and pale wood for resin to spawn on, and it pops it all off using the exact same circuit here, with a repeater here just to make sure this is always maximum signal strength to trigger the pistons, and we're rotating slime and honey. So each of the pistons, this is 6 because that's 12 total blocks. That hits the piston push limit. We've got some immovable blocks here, and the creaking heart itself cannot be pushed. So this takes care of all that. The only downside of this system isn't really the wood. It doesn't probably use that much more wood, but you do need more dispensers. This is 3 times as many dispensers. You're using 12 observers. This is just a simple redstone line to trigger. You'll need more iron to trigger to have the water buckets, and then down here, I didn't mean to break that. And then down here we have the same thing for hoppers to pick up the resin. And you'll see outside of that little bit that just dropped in there, we get quite a lot more. This is over twice as much resin in a single Minecraft night. And the way this farm works is basically the same idea though. We set the time to night. When night rolls around, the creaking all spawn in here. We flick this lever, which triggers all the water to wash them this way. They slowly work their way down here. You do need to make sure this hole is deep enough so that they are not bonking their heads on each other on the way over. Now they're all stuck down there, and you just come in here. Instead of having to individually punch them, you just use a sweeping edge sword, and you trigger them all at once. Let's take a look at what this looks like up here. So every single time I swing, I am getting 24 resin, although you can see that sometimes one of them just doesn't quite get hit. That may be a factor of where I am aiming, I am not entirely sure. However, on average, that's, 22 to 24 resin per night. It all comes down here and flows into the hopper, but as you can see, a lot of it also winds up in my inventory. You can fill up your inventory to alleviate that if you want, but you start running into hopper limits. These start to fill up very fast. And if you're just sitting here all night doing this, they're gonna start sitting here. And if you're worried about them despawning, then that is something for you to be aware of. But as you can see here, the footprint is not that much larger, and you get quite a lot more resin per night. So if you think you're gonna be using a lot of it, there you go. That's something for you to consider making instead if you can gather the resources. But anyway, that is going to do it for this episode. Thank you for joining me on this journey. I hope you are enjoying the progress we're making on these farms and on the town. I hope to see you in the next video. Please subscribe so you don't miss it. Bye!